fun action-packed show. Fun action-packed, entertaining, lively, educational show about all things of South Florida. It's my pleasure to always introduce our co-hosts today, Elena Melodina and Scott Benson. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good.
God, see, I didn't say the good morning, good afternoon this time because I know we're on different time zones. And we also know that people are going to be watching this live stream over and over and over, and I don't want to confuse them. So, how are we doing? We're doing good. All right. So, Elena, it's been a while. We're now into the second quarter of the year already.
Wow.
I know things are turning
Time
around in
flies.
Las Vegas and picking up. How are they looking in Florida these days?
Actually very positive. There are a
Right.
lot of activity in the market, a lot of showings. So
Good.
the market is moving.
What about values? Are they holding?
That waited, people that waited and were hoping that they will adjust. It's actually not happening. People that needed to move the property fast, they were lowering the prices, but I don't see a big adjustment. I don't see it. The market is very strong. Yeah.
That's great to hear. Now, are you seeing that across all demographics as far as price? Are you seeing it in the, just in the luxury, ultra luxury? Are you seeing that in more of the, medium house price homes?
I mean, most of the properties that I sell $1 million plus, right? I don't do listings below that. But yeah. I can tell you, I can assure you that the listings that below that price range, they fly even faster. For instance, my girlfriend, she has a license as well. She put the property for sale for apartment, I think 1-bedroom apartment for $200-something thousand. She got multiple offers the same day. So they basically went on a contract within 4 days and closed within 30 days.
That's great. It's interesting. I think people
the market
probably
is busy.
Yeah, I think maybe people have accepted, like, you know what, rates are going to be what they're going to be, and the days of waiting for these rates to be down in the 2s or 3s or over. This is the new normal. People recognize that, accepted it, and now they're moving forward.
People also panicking because the rental went up so dramatically that people start panicking that if I don't buy right now, I will be paying such a high rent, and there's no guarantee that next year they're not gonna, raise my rate again due to the whole economy and due to
a lot of times in a lease you have a 3% increase annually anyways. And what people don't realize, at least. And what people don't realize, and we do analysis with this, is that even though you may be paying less to start in a lease than you would, say, a mortgage, 100% of that goes to finance or pay the lender or the owner's loan or goes to their pocket. It doesn't go to you at all. Where if you actually finance, even though your payment may be a little bit higher to start, a portion of that is going into your own savings account in the form of equity from paying down that mortgage note. And then also you're capturing, again, that appreciation. So even if it doesn't pencil out dollar for dollar to start, but if you can afford it cash flow wise, it always makes sense to buy. And then again, over the next couple of years, as that loan that lease or rent goes up, now you're even more negative because you're probably surpassing what a loan payment would be. Where if you buy, typically, your loan's going to be, fixed and set, and you're done.
It's always good to have, real estate. It's secure, it's safe. You always can, if you don't want to live there anymore, you always can rent it, sell it. So it's an asset.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Yeah. When you rent, you give. I read that on social media and I loved it. You still paying a mortgage, your mortgage. It's someone else's mortgage.
Exactly.
That's exactly right.
That's what it is. Yeah. So how's the interest rate going? So I heard it's adjusted a little bit.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not a big movement really. We saw it trend down a little bit and then start to creep back up, but it's kind of steady right now. Nothing, huge to report movement wise, up or down.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for the past couple of days, yeah.
So I mean, it depends. The Fed chairman came out and says something, and it's not always on point. That can affect it. Then we get reports coming out that are favorable. It's every week there's something different that moves the needle. So really, it's just over time we got to look at what we're going to be. I mean, I strongly feel towards the end of the year we're definitely going to be in a much improved rate scenario. And again, that's where we go back to those strategies of getting a home, negotiating with the seller a concession if you can. I don't know if you can even more. If not, then you go with a lender that can do, like, say, a 2-1 buy down, and you can do it through the lender, not necessarily through the seller concession, and buy down that rate so you're at a decent rate that you can manage that payment. And by the way, when you do that, not everybody realizes it. If you're doing a 2-1 buy down or a 3-1 buy down or a 1-0 buy down, that money goes into an escrow account that the lender has, and they draw from that account to pay the differential of what you would have been paying. So it's not like buying down the rate permanently. You actually have access to that if you decide to refinance or sell. It's not gone. So there is an advantage to that, and that is a strategy people should look at if they're really, if price sensitivity, payment sensitivity on a monthly basis is their issue, then look at that strategy and get into a home and doing that 2-1 buy down your rate. In fact, I got a client right now.
I think you need to go more deep into it to explain step by step how it works, so people know exactly.
Sure.
Because a lot of people are afraid of the high interest rate.
Yeah.
And what options they have if they want to secure the property right now.
Yeah. So what I'm talking about specifically, there's programs that lenders offer. We have a bunch of them, and they'll go up to 3 years where you can drop the rate 3%. So in a 3-2-1 buy down, the first year, let me back up. If I qualify you at a 6% interest rate, and that's your rate for the first year, I can get you down to 3% interest rate for the first year, 4% for the second year, 5% for the third year, and then at the end of the third year, you land at that 6% for the duration of the loan. And so what happens is somebody's paying that differential. It's either going to be you through the interest rate, and the lender's going to give you that money set aside, or it's going to be the seller through a concession. I like to negotiate if we can, the seller pay for it. And then what happens is when we put in the offer and we agree to that on the contract and we send that to the lender, the lender's going to account for that on where that money goes. The lender's going to hold that differential payment. So if they're going to look at the difference in 3%, 2%, 1%, they're going to get that dollar amount. They're going to sit in an escrow account that the lender holds. Now, every month for the first year, they're going to draw that 3% difference and pay the differential in the payment. You're only paying the reduced payment, but the balance of it's getting paid out of that escrow account that the lender holds. Are we tracking so far?
I'm lost.
You're lost. Okay, Scott, let me have Scott take a spin at it. No, it's fair, because if you're lost in our listeners, you're a smart girl.
Look, I've never done that. I've never done that. I've never negotiated that part. I mean, that's what we have you for. But this is something it's a very new product to me. That's why I'm looking at you.
Let me take one more spin at it. Let's take one more spin at it. Okay. If your interest is 6% and we do I'll do a 2-1 buy down. The first year, your payment is going to be based on a 4% interest rate. The second year is going to be based on a 5% interest rate. However, the lender's still going to get paid the full 6%. Where does that money come from is the big question. Ideally, we have the seller pay that. So when we go to do our closing costs, we'll calculate out what is the money that is going to be needed to pay that difference in interest rate for those 2 years. It may be $30,000, okay? That $30,000 at closing will go sit in an escrow account that the lender holds. Every month that you make your payment, again, for the first year at 4%, the lender is going to draw from that escrow account and cover that 2% differential they're not getting paid. And does that make sense?
Well, yes, but I can't imagine with today's market to negotiate with a seller that kind of terms, at least not in Florida.
Yeah. So alternatively, you can go to a lender and say, I want to do a 2-1 buy down, and we can work that in. Now, look, the lender is always going to get paid one way or the other. So typically what we'll do is you'll take a bump in the rate. That bump in the rate creates that gap for that money to go into that account for you.
So Elena, the people that really works for well, are people that either expect to have their income go up substantially in the next 24 months so that they can afford, so it's better for them because they're able to get into a property now. It has minimal impact on their cash flow up front because they're paying a lower rate, but then over time it normalizes. And if in that 24-month period their income's going up, they're offsetting the increase in their monthly payment with an increase in income. That's one group that it makes a lot of sense for. The other group that it makes a lot of sense for are those that are coming from a rental. So when they go from rent to purchase, there's a little bit of a payment shock, right? If they're trying to stay in the same quality of property or potentially, right? They usually want to increase it. And then for them, they can offset the difference between the rent and the purchase with this initial buy down. And then by the time they're paying the higher rate, the fully baked in rate, they've gotten some level of appreciation. So the other thing that we see with a lot of people that get on this program, they may stick into it for 2 or 3 years, and then they may refi because their home has went up in value. They get a lower rate, and then they're able to maintain the lower rate. So there's a couple of ways to play it, but those are the two groups of people where we see it really makes a lot of sense. Those that expect income to go up, or those that are coming from a rental property into a home purchase. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. It's a hard part. The hard part is to negotiate that with the seller, I guess. So the seller has to be a very motivated seller, to agree on the terms.
No.
I mean, I don't know.
One thought about that though. Again, I'd have to do the math if this made sense. But what if you came in above asking, but with a credit to go towards that buy down? Now, I'd have to see what the differential, if that increased loan amount is in your favor, or if it's better not to do that. I'd have to look. But again, the lender offers this. We don't have to have the seller contribute it. We can get the lender to do a contribution in form of a 2-1 buy down. I see. So it is available through the lender itself. So you're not dependent on the seller. This was more really, I mean, there are markets still that this is viable to. Here in Las Vegas still makes a lot of sense. But it was the seller contribution side. When we're seeing people drop their prices, we say, well, don't drop your price. It always makes more sense to get a contribution to either buy down the rate permanently or do the 2-1 buy down. And depending on what your strategy was and how much difference you wanted. For instance, if you did a permanent buy down and then you go to refinance in 6 months or you sell, that money's gone. You don't get it back. Where this one, again, it sits in the escrow account. So it's really yours if you decide to refinance or sell.
I want to talk about refinancing.
Let's talk about it.
Refinancing is very interesting, attractive right now. If you look in the future, because a lot of people hope that the interest rate will go down, and it's going to be opportunity to get a fixed lower interest, annual interest. But a lot of people afraid of refinancing, mostly because of the cost of refinancing. Sure. Is there any programs or options that allow people to reduce a cost on the refinancing? Maybe, for instance, I'll tell you, when you buy a property and sell it, if you sold the property within first 3 years, the new buyer has reduced rate for title insurance because it's less than 3 years. So the title companies give them a reduced rate. Is there anything like this practiced in in mortgage world, that if you refinance like fast, or maybe some progress that lets you save money on refinancing cost?
Sure. Scott, you want to take a stab, or you want me to take a stab at it?
Either way. Well, I mean, I can just jump in. I'm not aware of any bank that does that right now. I think that's a smart program for them to consider. Most of them will want you to go through the same process flow that you went through originally, which then requires all of the services they normally provide, they have to put back into the mix all over again. Title's a little bit different in terms of what they're able to do. So they're typically going to charge you straight up for the, to go through that whole process. Now, there are loans that have conversion options built in, but I don't think that's accomplishing what you would want to accomplish, because your thought is rates go down, right? And then you want to refi to the lower rate. And I would say if I had a borrower that really felt that way, like if they have some strong confidence that that's going to happen, I would put them into an adjustable rate mortgage right up front, and then it's going to adjust to the market. So.
But then they wanted to secure this interest rate. Adjustable mortgage is great, but then you goes down. You want to secure it, and then they're gonna allow you to do it.
I say that's exactly right. But you know what? The people that got adjustables like 10 years ago, I mean, it was a huge score for them, because as rates have stayed down low, their rates were even lower, because they were tied against the different exchanges, and their rates were coming in lower than the people that refied, and they had to go through the expense of all the refis. So, I mean, it's a lot of people aren't going to be comfortable taking that risk. And I have to say, I don't think anybody really knows with absolute confidence what's going to happen with the rates. And, we do have this monster deficit, which at some point is going to have to be addressed, and typically is addressed with higher interest rates and inflation to offset the value of the money that's sitting there as a deficit. So at some point, that's probably what we're going to see. The question is when.
Yeah, and I can add a little bit more color to the question also. And there's a couple of things we got to consider. What is the equity position they're sitting at in the house at the time that they want to refinance? That's number one. Number two, what is the rate that they are currently at versus the rate that they qualify that is available now that they possibly could want to lock into? Now, the question was, can we save money? We can have lender pay fees. We have lender contributions come. But again, where does that come from? That's going to come at the cost of a higher rate. Now, the reason why I said it depends on what rate they are now and what rate they want to sit at. Even at that higher rate, it still may be advantageous than what the rate they currently are sitting at if they refinance. So that is one way to get the cost reduced to do the refinance, not coming out of their pocket, but it does come out of the pocket on a monthly basis because they'd have a higher interest rate. But again, where's that balance? The other thing that I would do is say, okay, well, let's look at the equity you have in your house, and we'll use the equity to pay your fees. And I would put together, or Scott and I put together a very comprehensive report to say, look, do this. And at this point, this makes sense. To the month of payments, it will tell you this is when this makes sense to do that. So even if there is a cost to do this at month 33, now you're in the positive, and this was worth doing it. So depending on how long they want to sit in that house for, depends on how we educate them on, get that rate. It makes sense to pay the closing cost or not. And then we can even do the same thing, or the lender pays closing costs, extra rate. Where's that going to be beneficial dollar-wise, dollar for dollar? We can compare it and analyze it all the way down to the penny and give them an educated answer.
Got it.
So that's how I would approach it.
A lot of interesting and useful information today.
Absolutely. And the other thing I was going to talk about, just because we don't talk about enough, is just credit health. And making sure that you're keeping your credit healthy. And there's little tiny things you can do. And I don't, if you follow our Instagram, we've had a credit tip of the week being posted every week. And I'm going to show you the magic behind that also after this. But having good credit has such a differential effect in your ability to get a loan. What I mean by that is your rate can be affected, the programs you qualify for, your down payment. A lot of it hinges on a few key things, and credit being one of the number one things that you can affect. Now, easily, I can look at somebody's credit report and say, you know what? If we pay down this balance, if we remove this, if we do that, and I'll give you specific examples. I had a client that needed an extra 20 points improvement on their credit report. They were on a shared account with their spouse. That shared account had a higher balance. By removing them off that shared account, we're able to increase their FICO score up higher to get them into a better rate. The other thing is just your balances, keeping them below 33%. Not paying them off down to 0 per se, but having activity, building that credit, and making sure that you're not above that 33% of your available credit seems to be the sweet number that they'd like to see. And they like to see trade lines. So the more trade lines, the more activity, the better. But they also don't want to see you exceed your your debt to income ratio with that, with having all this debt. But again, having available credit shows your strength as a borrower.
Let me give you a good example of how you can easily screw your deal.
Tell me.
Thank God it didn't happen to me, but it happened with a good friend. She's in real estate as well. Her client was buying a nice like $3 million property, was approved for a mortgage. Everything is great. They were about to close. And mortgage companies, sometimes they pull your credit before, when they start the application, they pull your credit before closing, right or wrong? Sometimes they pull the credit
typically,
twice.
typically, yeah, but it shouldn't deem you. That should be, a lot of times we just reissue the credit report we have. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll tell you what happened. Before closing, they pulled the credit for the second time. And his credit, instead of like having 790 or 100, whatever, he had 600 something.
Oh,
and they're about to close in a couple of days. They look at this like, what happened? Well, he bought a very nice luxury car with his credit card.
That's okay.
And that's why we
tell people don't do that. Oh.
Yeah. So let's add to your example. That's a great
what
example.
Did you?
Yeah.
So and he screwed the deal, and they couldn't close. Yeah. That was.
Do not apply for credit.
Said, well, I bought the car.
Yeah. Do not apply for credit. Do not buy a car. Do nothing for those 30 days until Elena closes that house. You do not want to mess up your opportunity. Man, that is a very good example, sad example, but good example of what not to do.
Well, and Elena, it also matters how long, right? How long that between original credit report and when you're closing on the loan, in terms of whether or not they're going to pull them. But we always tell. I mean, Ted and I are pretty adamant about it. Do not buy anything on credit while you're in that process, and do not run up your credit cards. It's the death if they rerun it. Oh my God, yes. Do the opposite.
Right.
Yep. And it's a real story, so it happens.
No.
The afternoon.
I'm gonna.
On their home. The afternoon they close on their home, they can go pick up the new car that afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just wait. Okay. So I mentioned that on our social media, we've been posting credit tips every week. And there's a little magic behind that. Every Monday this gets posted. And guess what? I'm not doing it. It's already done for me. And it's done through a social planner calendar tool that we have access to through Six Sigma Systems. It's a real estate mortgage platform that we use. And I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is. This is going to be Ted's Tech Tip of the Day. Say that 10 times. Ted's Tip of the Day. I can't do it. But I'm going to launch this off so you guys can see it. Because I know there's other loan officers, realtors that do watch what we're doing. Let's see. I'm sharing the wrong screen. That's okay. I can get there. So you guys see my screen?
Yes, but very small.
Okay. I don't know that I can change. You should be able to see what's going on there. Scott, can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, I can, because we're both within the Restream app, so it makes
okay.
But for viewers.
Oh, I see. Okay. So where I'm at is in the social planner, and I already have 3 social media accounts connected. I have our Google My Business profile, which is essential for any business. So realtor, mortgage loan officers, if you don't have that connected, get it connected. That's going to help your SEO, local SEO lead flow and get you ranked higher in the local market. Then we also have our Facebook and Instagram. Now, what do we do? Facebook iteration. Okay, hold on a second. I changed my password. And so what a timely time to do this.
Yeah, of course.
Let's see, connect page. Oh, sorry guys, this was unplanned for. Okay. All right, we're reconnected. Now let's go back to the social planner. Okay, so new post. Create new post. So I'm just going to show you how easy it is to schedule out your thing. So I have all 3 accounts linked together. So now when I create this content, I'm going to grab a flyer that I made. You can post it all at once. Now I just posted to 3 social media accounts in a matter of seconds. Now, we can go and look, recent post. Here's the credit tip. So preview link, just to get an idea what they look like. There it is on my Instagram. And actually, I made 15 posts, and I used Canva, and I used ChatGPT, and I made this in a matter of 15 minutes and scheduled it for the next 15 weeks, just to give you an idea how technology can really help you scale. Now, you guys aren't actually seeing what I'm saying, are you? You can only see the link where I built it, not the one that built out. Share this tab instead. There we are.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, this was built there. So let's go back and let's see. Hold on. Yeah, you see how the previous weeks are there. That's how we schedule all our shows, all the flyers.
Oh, that's cool.
We do it through this tool to where you don't have to sit there and schedule it by hand or take a lot of time to do it. Now let's look at what a planner looks like. So here's a planner. Okay. And I can say, okay, I want to post tomorrow. Select my counts. Let's go all of them. And then we're going to take a flyer, get your social post, and steps to finance a house. And now I'm going to use the ChatGPT integration, and I'm going to say steps to getting a home loan. And I'm going to say here are some tips on how to prepare for buying a home. Try to type faster, you guys. And then we're going to go add keywords. We're going to go real estate, home loans, mortgages. Writing tone, professional. I could be professional. I'm excited. Let's go excited.
Go excited.
I'm excited. Well, it says witty. Can I use all of them? I mean, come on.
Yeah,
and generate. Okay, so the integration is generating 3 different variations. Now you can select the number one. I'm going to just copy that into there. Hit continue. And then now we're going to go on this little arrow here, and I'm going to schedule post. And I'm going to do it for the 20th, and I'm going to hit it. And there we go. So guys, log in to Real Estate Mortgage Insider's Instagram, Facebook, or Google My Business profile, and you will see this post scheduled and on social media. So that was a demonstration how I can schedule social media for the next day in a matter of a minute, 90 seconds with using ChatGPT to actually type up the stuff for me. And that's all integrated in this beautiful tool. So if you want to learn more about that, get at the Real Estate Mortgage Insiders. We'll connect you with it. It's Six Sigma Systems. They have a real estate platform, a mortgage platform. It's actually a really cool tool that we use on a daily basis for a lot of stuff that we do. In fact, I couldn't live without it at this point. It's integral to what we do in our process. Ted's tech tip of the day.
Purchase here.
Purchase here. Right.
That's it.
Yep.
So, Elena, we have 3 minutes left. Did we have any exciting neighborhoods to talk about at all? I don't want to steal the thunder of Florida.
Have we spoke about Key Biscayne? Key Biscayne.
Tell me.
Think so?
I don't know. There's so many amazing neighborhoods that we've learned about, but let's hear about it.
Oh, maybe Design District. Have we spoke about Design District?
No.
I don't think so. Well, Design District is a very good example of what can happen if you invested a long time ago in the area that it was not very desirable and build the whole neighborhood around that. So Design District was in the middle of the Midtown, very unattractive area. It didn't have a name, Design District, right? And the one gentleman bought the whole block, the whole area, and he was very particular about what tenants he will be having there. So small designer stores, and small art galleries. Then he brought a big restaurant, which is Michael Chanian, and a couple more small restaurants. Now it's only high-end stores. I'm talking about Gucci, Chanel, Louboutin, and the list can go on. It's one of the most luxurious areas in Miami, and it happened within 10 years. It happened like this. So you can't touch this area anymore. It's the most prestigious, one of the most prestigious area in Miami, and there's more and more big brands coming. Those little small design, and they don't exist anymore. It's If you Google,
where's this at?
At this,
if I'm in Miami, where am I going?
it's Midtown. It's a Midtown. It's actually it's very close to the Wynwood. We spoke about Wynwood recently, about street art and urban culture. So it's gonna be right next to the Wynwood, and close to, it's between I-95 and Biscayne Boulevard, in that area. From the airport, it's going to be about maybe 10-15 minutes drive from Miami International Airport.
So if your wife is like mine and she likes to shop, am I going to the design district? Assuming I close a couple loans, because I know I'm going to have to close a couple loans to go there.
You have to close a lot of loans.
A lot of loans? A lot of loans. Are we talking like Rodeo Drive level stores, or what are we talking?
I'm talking about, Hermes, Birkin, Chanel, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's, it's...
Yeah. Couple loans.
You know what's interesting? That during pandemic, there was lines of people trying to get into the stores. And they will let only a couple of people in. Talking about, like Louis Vuitton, and there's like 30 people staying and waiting to get into Louis Vuitton.
The beauty of where I live, we have clusters of those stores, like Cristal next to Aria has all the stores just listed. And so the same thing, they would have these little barriers with the guys in their suits, and they would let you in. And unfortunately, you had to wear a mask. Ugh. But they had it all. I mean, it was a line around the corner in the middle of the pandemic. Now, some of them have kept that line barrier, and I'm not sure, because I don't know how about in Miami, but in Nevada, or Florida, I should say, in Nevada, we have still an employee shortage. Nobody wants to work, and so the staff seem to be understaffed. So I think they have to control or throttle how many patrons come in the store at any given time, so they can manage it. And then the other side of it is, and maybe not so much here, I know in California there was a lot of the dash and grab type of situation where they would rush a store. And this seemed to be a way they could at least, again, throttle the amount of people come in there to minimize that.
Well, that's how I got this shirt. That's how I got the black shirt.
That's it.
Don't tell anyone.
Exactly. Well, you got to put your mask back on, right?
Design District is the way to go and experience. It's a nice, beautiful place to walk. It's a little bit hot during the summer, but now it's still a good weather. And then when you already finish with your shopping, go to Michael's Genius for a nice lunch and good cocktail.
And drop your name and get a 15% discount.
It's not going to happen.
Elena, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna pay you a compliment right now. And people watching the show, I want you guys to realize this, and this comes from the bottom of my heart. You truly know your area. We do the show with a lot of realtors, and I don't get the level of depth and understanding at the micro level that we get from you from anybody else. So kudos to you for knowing your market. If you're a buyer looking to move that area, I highly recommend you talk to Elena, because she's gonna ask you all about you and match you up with the area you need to be in. And she knows it. So good job, Elena. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
guys.
sir.
You're welcome. We're out of time. So we'll see you next week for the Real Estate Mortgage Insiders. I'm Ted Hicks, Elena Meldina, Scott Benson. We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Bye.